Today I'm talking about a story time where a soccer coach literally threatened to fight one of my friend's brothers. This all starts off 2 years ago when I was 15 years old, and the kid in this story time who we'll name Nathan was 11 years old. Now Nathan is my brother's friend who is Josh, and Josh is 15. So basically there was this one weekend where me and Josh decided we were gonna hang out, and I was just gonna stay at his house all weekend. You know, it had been a long week of school, and I just decided to want to hang out with one of my mates. So I went over to his house, and we ended up staying the night on the Friday night, and then Saturday morning is when this all really starts. So Nathan is a soccer player, right? Now, I know there's a lot of stereotypes around soccer players about always injuring themselves, getting their ankles sprained and everything like that. And this story time is about one of those times. So Josh's mum ends up coming into our room. So me and Joshua are sleeping in the same room, and she basically says, "All right, we're going to Nathan's game at 11 a.m." So we both ended up getting up. We ended up getting ready, and then we all went to Nathan's soccer game at 11 in the morning. Now this all started off normally, right? So basically, me and Josh ended up grabbing the footy and started kicking it around the oval, like we weren't on the oval, but we were basically just like around the oval, just trying to keep ourselves busy. And while this game was going on, Nathan's team was absolutely destroying the opposition. Like they were literally scoring like 2 goals to 0 at this point. It was about halfway through the game, and Nathan was on fire. I'm pretty sure he'd already scored a goal at this point. But then they got to about halfway through the game, and just after halftime, Nathan goes onto the field, and I watched this because I decided to sit down for a little bit because I've been playing footy for a while. I decided to sit down and just watch this kid play for a little bit because I'd heard everyone like cheering for Nathan or whatever. I was like, alright, I want to see if this kid's actually good at the game. He ends up playing for, not even kidding, 2 minutes, and then randomly out of nowhere, he falls to the ground. I didn't exactly see what happened, but from what I gathered, he got tripped over, right? Some kid stuck his foot out. I don't think it was intentional, but he stuck his foot out, and then this kid Nathan ends up just flopping onto the floor. And instantly, right, like I heard him scream. I was pretty far away. Like he was on the other side of the ground to where everyone in the team was. But this kid screamed so loud, like you could tell that he had either broken a bone, sprained something, or just done something absolutely terrible. And I saw him like just over on the other side of the ground, just holding his ankle. And I was like, yeah, this kid's definitely sprained his ankle. About 2 minutes go by, and the game is stopped because this kid's literally in the middle of the field, just like crying and bawling his eyes out. And they end up getting the runner onto the field. The runner ends up like basically just carrying him on his back, bringing him off the field. Because he is 11 years old, so it is a lot easier for him to just like get picked up and taken off the oval. So he ends up sitting there for a little bit, and then there's a problem arising. So obviously, right, this kid's ankle is probably sprained. So the runner goes, all right, can we get an ice pack? Nathan's obviously hurt, like he needs some ice to basically just stop the swelling or whatever. So the whole team is sitting around looking for ice, and then for some reason there is literally no ice there. Like the first aid people didn't actually bring any ice, which is really stupid, especially for a soccer game. So there was no ice to be seen anywhere. Like there was literally nothing to stop this kid's swelling ankle, and he literally sat there just in more pain, like constantly, like it was getting worse by the minute. So eventually they start panicking, right? And eventually like Nathan just sort of sits there. He just sort of takes it for a little bit, and about 30 minutes later the game ended, right? So obviously Nathan's team completely smashed him, and the other team just ended up going into their little they end up going into their little box. What is it called? It's called the locker rooms, alright? So the other team goes into the locker rooms, and they're getting sprayed out by their coach because they lost or whatever. Now the other team's coach, I should probably mention this right now, is a very toxic person when it comes to sport. Like I heard him screaming out so much like whenever one of the kids would do something wrong, like he'd always scream out going like, why'd you do that? Like you should have done something better. And I'm just sitting like, mate, these guys are 11 years old, like chill out. So he ends up screaming at them after the game, and like everyone on our team who won the game could hear this guy screaming at his team inside the locker room. He was screaming at him. He was like, oh, I told you guys to do this and that, and you guys did nothing. Like why can't you just listen to your coach? Like I'm here for you guys. I'm not here for any other reason than to have you guys win. And at this point we were just sitting there like, okay, this guy's clearly got his own problems. Like we're just gonna stay out of it. Like originally the coach was gonna go in and tell the kids that they did a good job, but like at this point there was no point, right? Like the other coach would probably start screaming at him. Now keep in mind, right, all this time where basically everyone's celebrating and the other coach is having a go at his players, Nathan is still sitting there in pain. And the coach notices this and he's like, okay, yeah, I probably gotta do something about this. So at this point Nathan's coach had 2 options, right? He could either sit there and just pray that Nathan would just get better, or he could go to the other coach who was spraying at his kid, like basically spraying at the kids for losing the game, and try and ask them if they have any ice anywhere. And Nathan's coach decided, you know, I'm gonna take the bullet and I'm gonna go in and ask. So he went over to ask, and for some reason the coach was actually kind of nice about it. The coach ends up going, yeah, I mean, there's a first aid stand over there. If you want to go get some ice over there, there's some over there. He says thank you and ends up walking over to the first aid stand. But the problem is with the first aid stand that there was literally nobody there. Like they were meant to be probably about four how do you call it, medical professionals there to help people if they get injured. There was nobody there, and there hadn't been anybody there all day, so they literally had no first aid. Probably a very stupid and irresponsible thing to do, especially with a bunch of 11-year-olds playing soccer. Like, anything can happen with that, to be honest with you. Like, you see 11-year-olds running around, like you kind of got to expect that someone's gonna get injured at some point. Like, having no first aid is kind of stupid. So at this point, right, they're in kind of a predicament, right? So Nathan's probably got to go to the hospital. But the thing is, Nathan literally can't walk. Like, he's sitting there on this chair, like with his legs up, because if he put them on the ground, they would start hurting. So Nathan was literally sitting there with his leg elevated and basically just couldn't move. Like, they didn't have a stretcher or anything because the first aid thing was the first aid tent was empty. They literally had nothing to support this kid apart from their own bodies, which is not a very good thing. Now, after about 20 minutes of sitting there, like, contemplating whether they should call an ambulance, whether they should just go to the hospital and just try and pick this guy up and put him in a car seat and take him himself, or whether they should just ask the coach for advice or the other coach for advice or just something like that. After 20 minutes of just contemplating this, the other coach, you know the coach who I was talking about, who was basically just screaming at the other team because they weren't winning and they weren't doing good enough. He ends up walking out, and he's got a very, very aggravated look on his face. So by this point, Nathan, his mom, and the coach were basically the only 3 people there at this point, and as well as me and Josh as well. So there were 5 people just sitting not on the field, but basically like in the vicinity, right? Like in the venue. And the other coach starts walking out very aggravatedly, and he's like, "Oi, you guys, you got to get out of here right now." And I'm just sitting there like, what the hell? Like this guy's literally injured, and he knows about that because like Nathan's coach literally walked in like 30 minutes ago asking if they could have ice or something like that. Like he clearly knows that Nathan's injured. So the coach says, "Yeah, sorry mate, we got an injured person here. Can you give us like 10 to 20 more minutes or just something like that?" And he just sits there, and Nathan's just sitting there like, "Oh, can you please just go away? Like this is so annoying." The other coach stands there and looks at these guys and like, "Yeah, I understand that, but unfortunately you guys got to get off the premises. Like I don't know how else to say it. Like, you guys just got to leave." And the coach says, "Listen, I don't think that's going to be possible. Like Nathan is not going to be able to physically move. Like there's just no way that's going to happen." And the coach says, "Listen here, right? You guys, I've given you a warning, and if you don't do anything about it, then there's going to be problems, all right? Get like every single one of you, I want you out of this venue right now, or I'm going to call the cops." And this one I'm like, okay, Jesus, like is it really that serious? And then Nathan, the 11-year-old kid, steps up. Like he starts talking to him. He goes, "Listen, I get that your team is salty that you lost and whatever, but I'm trying to sit here and get some medical attention. Can you please go away and leave me alone?" And I look at Nathan, I'm like, you should not have said that. Like, why did you say that? It was so funny, and it was such a it was such a savage thing for an 11-year-old to say, but also, right, like, it was a pretty stupid thing to say. And then all of a sudden, this coach, right, obviously he did not like that one bit. He gets up in the 11-year-old's face. He's like, "Listen here, if it wasn't for your stupid team, you wouldn't have got injured today, alright? And if it wasn't for my team, you would still be walking, and I don't like that." And he starts going on all about this stupid crap about how he deserves to get injured, and then he starts getting up in his face. He's like, "Listen, if you want to settle this, we can settle this right here, right now." And at this point, I step in because I'm like, okay, this is kind of getting out of hand. I don't want this 11-year-old getting beaten down by some soccer coach who's probably like 40 years old. So I sit there, I'm like, "Bro, he literally can't walk. Like, what is your problem? Can you just give him like 10 to 20 minutes and just leave us alone? Like, is it really that hard?" And then the soccer coach starts looking at me, and at this point, I'm like, okay, yeah, something's about to happen. And he says, "Oh, okay, so you're trying to get involved now. Oh, what, are you like his dad or something? Are you fighting his battles for him?" And then he starts saying, "Listen, if you want to fight me as well, I'm down right now. Like I've had enough today. I'm sick of this." And I'm like, "Listen, you are a grown man and I'm 15 years old. Are you really gonna try fight 2 minors out here? Like you are literally pathetic." And he's like, "Whatever. If you guys don't get out of here within the next 5 minutes, I'm gonna call the cops." And then Josh ends up coming into the situation, right? Because obviously his best friend and his brother are getting into a fight with a 40-year-old man. Like, it's not something you can just ignore. He says so, he's like, "Alright, can you please just go away? Like, Ricky and Nathan, can you guys just chill out? Can we just de-escalate this situation? This isn't getting anywhere." And at that point, we're like, "Yeah, alright, sure." And then the coach ends up just storming off into his car, and he puts his kid in the car, and he basically just leaves. And yeah, that's really the end of that situation. There really wasn't much that up and off that. We never saw that coach ever again. I mean, I personally didn't, because I didn't go into any more of Nathan's games. But yeah, moral of the story is, if someone's injured and you're a soccer coach, I don't know how many people this applies to, just let them get medical attention. And yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video and you want to see more, let me know in the comments down below. If you guys guys want to send in story times, go to my Instagram at gliderguy by 18. You can send in your story times there. And with that being said, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.